This question is really not just about your son. Every person is going to have, when you are doing TP, or even if not, you're going to have situations where your child is in a really bad mood because they feel that something is not working out in their lives. Okay? So in your situation, it is the very important car show, that it's very important that he should have his car ready on time, and he's freaking out because this thing that is so important to him is not going to happen on time.
But it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Because he sent me today. You see, it's almost finished. It's almost done. Yesterday it was.
Right? Okay, but he was screaming and yelling and pressured. And for somebody else, it's something else, right? If you notice, our kips are very not able to stay calm, and they can't take any pressure. And when things don't go their way, they actually freak out. And the reason is because if you have a wonderful life and something goes wrong in your life, it's one thing. They are in so much pain over everything that happened bad to them, and a lot of them really went through stuff that is a trauma and abuse that is not supposed to happen. And they feel like on top of everything else that I went through, this too? And you're like, it's just a cup of water. What's the big deal? So imagine that you go over to your husband and you say, can you do me a favor? Can you hold this cup of water for me? He starts yelling and screaming at you. You say, what's the big deal? But imagine if your husband is unloading the minivan after you got back from driving through the night. He's exhausted, and it's raining, and he's not feeling well. And he goes ahead and he's carrying one huge valise in each hand, and underneath he has another valise, and on top of it he has two backpacks, and he's half dead. And you say, hey, can you hold this cup of water for me? And he screams at you. It'll make a lot of sense. Kips, kids in pain, are careful, he has a gun. So kids in pain are carrying already so much baggage that you can't even imagine. And we don't see it, and we forget it. It was a long time ago. It's not. It's enough in their life today. It's enough current events that they're in pain, that they're dysfunctional, that they're hurting, that they're on medication, some of them, that their whole life was changed. So that's how so a lot of times parents say, when I look at my kid, I don't see the pain. Well, look at what they would have been today, right? By now, let's say for the older ones, married, with kids. Where's the kids? The kids were murdered. By what? By what happened 15 years ago. The success, the being able to support a family, to be able to work, to be able to learn, to be able to daven, to be able to be frum, to be able to be functioning. Where is all of that? Where is all of that? You put them on track, like your other kids, when they were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and by 15, 16, 18, they're supposed to be successful on whatever level of success they can be. Where's all the success? So a lot of times we have dysfunctional kids who are not frum, and they're also, many of them on drugs, and many of them are dysfunctional. And we're like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? What happened to them was so bad. Now think about it for a second, because we have trouble still. We have trouble really, really internally understanding emotional pain and psychological pain and psychiatric pain. We really don't get it. We really don't. If this was physical pain, imagine this kid is, whatever age your kids are, right? We have a 17-year-old kid, a boy, top boy in yeshiva, doing great. Now all of a sudden something happened. They got hit by a truck. They got into a car accident, Rahmanu Litzlan, and the damage is so bad that this kid is dysfunctional. Has headaches, has backaches, can't get up in the morning, sleeps all day, at night is up all night for whatever reason, and is not going to school, is not going to work, and needs drugs for the pain, and has to deal with now being a drug addict or getting out of that once the pain goes away, if it ever does, and dealing with all of that, and can't get married, nobody's going to want to marry him, is not in shidduchim, can't support a family, dysfunctional, disabled. So we would look at that person with physical illness with such mercy, and we would understand that they're carrying so much, and of course they're in a bad mood, because they lost their whole life because of a physical illness, and it will take many years until they can overcome that, and then get back to being a happy person, and dealing with life, with the disability that they have, that Hashem gave them. Right? Now we have to realize that whatever happened to your child was so bad. How bad was it? Bad enough that they're not functioning. Now, most of our kids are dysfunctional. Most of our kids cannot behave like your other kids, something happened to them. There's something there that caused all of this. Something deep down that broke them. And therefore, when you go over and you see that they're struggling with something, you want to help them. And what do? You give them advice. And that doesn't work. Because they don't need advice. They're as smart as you are. Some of them are smarter than you are. Right? You tell them why they shouldn't be upset. It doesn't help. They're in pain. They can't be normal. They're frustrated. Don't tell them why they should not be frustrated. Why? Because it makes them worse. It makes them more frustrated. Because the last thing, if you know how to do something and you can't do it, and someone tells you, oh, you should just do this and that, oh, don't get upset, don't be whatever, it makes you more frustrated. If you realize that they're struggling because they're in pain, they're not taking it out on you. It's not like they want to hurt you. It's not like they want to be bad to you. They want to go ahead and live their life. They're having a personal struggle like this thing, which had nothing to do with you, that I wanted my car to be ready for the car show, and it's not going to be, and he's cursing and he's screaming. You're looking in the window of the room and you see what's happening. You want to walk in and help. Don't give advice. Don't say why you shouldn't be worried. Don't be nervous. They know everything. They have a problem with the nervous system. Someone who has a problem with their nervous system gets more nervous when you tell them not to be nervous, right? Okay. So the first thing to remember is we give them what they need, understanding. If you're always, throughout this whole journey, going to make them feel that you don't understand them, which is what they feel when you try to explain to them why their feelings are not legitimate or why they should do something else, right? Then they're constantly going to feel disconnected from you. Let me explain. The kid is not doing something the right way. The parent usually, even, I'm not talking about those who are not nice, who are nasty, who are cursing, yelling at the kids, pushing them away. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the many parents that came here who are very nice. The parent walks into the room. This is a chinuch moment brought to you by Torah Masorah. Have a child who's doing the wrong thing. For example, they're staying up late at night and they need to go to work tomorrow and they're not going to be able to get up in the morning because it's very hard to get up in the morning when you go out with friends at 12 o'clock at night and you come back at 5 a.m., right? I know how to heal a dysfunctional person. Explain to him, you know, Chaim, if you go to sleep at 5 a.m., it's very hard to wake up at 7 a.m. Now, if you really think that that's going to help, try it. I think most of you tried stuff like that. If you look back, you realize, very interesting, instead of saying, wow, that's genius. How did you figure that out? That's amazing. Nobody ever taught me that. If only in yeshiva somebody would have taught me that. If only when you raised me, Mommy, you would have taught me that the laundry goes in the laundry basket and not on the floor. Oh my gosh. You mean the cup after I pour the soda, the drink, doesn't just stay on the counter. It goes back in the refrigerator and the refrigerator closes. Why didn't anybody ever tell me that? You mean I should go to the family wedding dressed like I'm going to a family wedding? Oh my gosh. Why didn't anybody ever teach me that? That is genius. You are brilliant. Dad, thank you so much. Thanks for telling me what to do. I didn't realize. Or thanks for telling me not to worry. Or not to have anxiety. Kids, a lot of these kids have anxiety. They're going to a wedding and they're freaking out. I don't know who's going to be there. I don't know what someone's going to attack me or say something or look at me funny, right? We tell them, and we are so good, right? We're professional parents. You know, we all became professional parents by having a child. It made us professionals. We are trained and we know how to deal with this. You go over to him and you say, don't worry. Ta-da! Genius! How many years of school did we go to for that, right? Don't worry. Don't have anxiety. Why are you so nervous? Why can't you just dress normal? Why don't you just follow like what we're doing? Why don't you just go to sleep? Why don't you just relax? Why don't you just forget the Narishkeiten? Why don't you put on a yarmulke? Why don't you dress sneers? Whoa! We've all tried this. By the time you're in this group, you've tried this, you've tried this, you've tried this, you've tried this, you've tried. It doesn't work on this kid. Why? There's a reason. There's a reason. Most likely, because this kid is not a rebellious mechutzif or an unlearned. And if you think about it, almost all, before you came here, almost all of the way that you treated your child was based on your thinking that what the child was doing wrong was due to the fact that they're either bad, lazy, or stupid. I haven't found the fourth category. Ignorant is not really one of them. Bad, lazy, or stupid. So the kid goes ahead and is doing something, and in your mind, they're bad, so we have to do chinuch, we have to punish them. They're lazy, so we have to get them motivated. Why are you lying on the bed like that? We have to get up, we have to go. Why are you not helping out? We have to get them motivated because they're lazy.
What about a fourth category defiance?
Or they're stupid. So, okay, fine, let's talk about that. Or all three, right? Okay? When they are defiant, right, so then why are they defiant? You look at it because they're bad, right? That's a bad midah. Why would you, defiance is bad, is being bad, right? That's a chelik of bad. So either bad, lazy, or stupid. I don't think I have a fourth category. But anyway, that's almost always the way that you look at why this kid is not behaving. Why aren't you doing your homework? Either you're bad, which you're defiant and you don't care, or you're lazy, you'll do it later and you have a midah of laziness, or you're stupid. You don't chop that night is for sleep and day is for up. And so the bottom line is that when we go ahead and respond to them with the thinking that they're bad, lazy, or stupid, so therefore we think we either need to motivate them or push them or remind them or teach them, and that usually makes them worse. Let's go back to your question. In your situation, and it really is negated to everybody, when your child is struggling with something, I'm talking about a kip, I'm talking about once you're here, these are broken children. They're dealing with pain and sicknesses and different diagnoses, and they're not going to respond to your advice based on the fact that they're bad, lazy, or stupid, because they're neither. They're none of those. So when you see them struggling with something, do not give them advice. I know it's hard. I know it's really super, super, super hard. Do not offer advice. I have parents who are dealing with a kid who they tell me the kid is brilliant and the kid is walking outside without their pants on, and they think that they need to give the kid advice. Anything that you're going to say that they know already, you have to understand they know it already. The advice doesn't help. Let's get it deeper. They have no chisaron in Havana. They have no chisaron in their heart of understanding. No chisaron in Havana and no chisaron in Yediah. They're not missing information. They know that outside in the winter, you're going to be warmer if you zip up your sweatshirt. They know that. They understand that no one looks at you when you come to shul and you dress like everybody else. They know that if you work a whole week and you don't take off 3 out of 5 days, that you're going to get a check at the end of the week. There's no chesaron, Yediah, or Havana. There's a problem in their nervous system. They are dealing with anxieties, depression, sickness, mental illness, emotional problems, emotional pain, spiritual confusion, whatever it is. But they don't need your information. As parents, we don't know when to let go, because when they're 4, they do need our information, and when they're 8, they need our motivation, and when they're 12, they need a little this and a little that, and we keep on. And then I'm amazed how parents don't let go of that. It's like the kid's bankrupt, and you're still like, you really should get a job. I really think it'll be so good for you. Like, that's not going to help. They can't keep the job. Like I always say, parents always say, should we get him a job? Should we get him a job? You can give him the phone number. If he can't dial to get the appointment, then he's not showing up. It means he's not ready for it. Even getting the number, they should be looking on their own. But okay, we're parents, we have to be, I'm especially a helicopter dad, right? That's what they call me. They thought it's a bad thing. I think we should be helicopter dads. I think Hashem is a helicopter dad, if you look into the midrashim and everything. But anyway, so if they can't, right? So we think, okay, so now, what's our tafkid? If our tafkid is going to be to give them advice, here's the problem. Now get with me on this. The child goes through a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the journey is. They're not able to function and do the right thing. If they were, you wouldn't be here. If a patch helped, you wouldn't be here. If Musar helped, you wouldn't be here. If paying them money helped to be good, you would not be here. So what happens is they're going through something that makes them act completely dysfunctional or whatever their situation is, and it lasts a long time. If every time you enter the picture giving them advice, now listen carefully, if your advice is not on the money, why? because your advice is very good for a functioning person, but not for a dysfunctional person. Your advice is very good for somebody who's asking you, I could do anything, I could do any choice. Tell me, how should I dress? Imagine a guy is coming to your wedding, your family's wedding. He could do anything. There's no trauma. There's no problem. How should I dress? Here's my 5 choices: bathing suit, tuxedo. He has all and you say, this one is the most appropriate. The answer is thank you, and it's done. No pain. Your kids, when they're asking you, they can't do it. So when you go ahead and say this thing, you're causing them pain. You're doing more than that. You're causing them to feel faleirin. They feel like these people don't understand me. Because when you're offering the obvious advice that they knew, they're not stupid, it's right in front of them. Right? You're offering obvious advice. You're giving them a feeling that I don't understand you, and I don't think that you're capable of understanding this fact. And a lot of times it's complicated. They ask us advice. When they ask you advice, it's super complicated. And you think about the question, how dysfunctional is this question? And when you realize how dysfunctional the question is, don't give the obvious advice, because if they were able to be normal and functioning, they would know that answer. Anything that's obvious, okay, we'll get to that. If they don't know something, there's a chesaron in yediah, chesaron in havana, you could tell them. Right? If they think that they're going to a roof, the bar mitzvah is on the top of a roof that is swimming, and they're bringing a bathing suit, if they really think that, you're allowed to say, by the way, no, it's what's it called? Black tie affair. I have no issue with that. But if they see black tie affair and they're packing their gym clothes, don't tell them black tie affair means bekasha. Isn't that what it means? I don't know what it means. And you don't wear black tie, right? But it means a suit. Don't tell them the obvious. You're going to shul. At shul, we dress up nicely. He was there. Another thing, anything that he knew at 10 years old, don't remind him at 15 and 20 and 25 and 30. They knew it already. And if you're not sure what they knew, ask any kid in your house. Call up another one of your kids. Say, by the way, do you know where the laundry goes? And with you guys, some of you, when you brought your, I don't always do it, but I do it sometimes, when you bring the family meeting, for the family meeting, you bring the other kids, a lot of times I want to show what great parents you are. And I'll go ahead and I'll say, okay, and there's an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, 7-year-old. I'll say, okay, what's your name? Maishi? Okay, Maishi. Maishi, I have some questions for you. I want you to answer. It's usually like the littlest kid. We did it with you, right? How old was he? 8, right? What was his name? Yassi, right. So I said, Yassi, I have a question for you. Okay. Should you keep Shabbos or should you break Shabbos? Keep Shabbos? And I'm like, yay, round of applause, great chinuch here. And we continue asking questions. And you know what? It's unbelievable. Everything that their sibling forgot, they know. At 8 years old, did he know? He knew all the questions. He knew, where does laundry go? Does it go on the floor or does it go in the laundry basket? And he's like, laundry basket. Yay, laundry basket. Well, it was a tough one. Okay, ready? Yassi? I really do this. It's fun. When do we sleep? At night or at day? Do, 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 do. And tick-tock, he's thinking night. When it's dark or when it's dark? Yay, yes, he knows it. And you think that your 15-year-old forgot what to wear and how to dress? Don't you realize this is a nervous breakdown? Do you think they need to be reminded? And when they don't need to be reminded, there's no chesaron of havana or yediah. There's no problem of bad, lazy, or stupid, which maybe we suffer from, but they don't. And the problem is that they can't do it for different verschiedene Grünzweigen. That's the only time I say verschiedene in my house. Okay? They can't do it. They can't even explain to you. You go ahead and explain. Do you know how many cheshbainis, which we learned about people who are traumatized, many of them suffered from trauma? They have such things in their head, and some of them were, let's say, molested by Uncle Maishi. Sorry, that sounds like a real Uncle Maishi. No. Okay, he would never do that. Okay, so Uncle Chaim, David, Shlomo. Okay, and therefore, it comes to his cousin Nussi's bar mitzvah, and he says, I'm not going to the bar mitzvah. And you say, what do you mean? His parents love you. Meanwhile, he's thinking that his uncle Fetter, Elter Fetter, is going to be there, or the Malamed that he had, someone's going to be there. Someone's making him uncomfortable that might be at the wedding, or in shul, or at the bar mitzvah, whatever it is, and they don't tell. So their whole life is a lie. So they say, no, I'm not in the mood. That's usually, I'm not in the mood. Well, I have no patience. Right? That's a big one. You ever hear that? I'm not in the mood. I have no patience. And then you say, because you think you're dealing with what you're dealing with. So what do you respond with? You're not going to Nussi's. You grew up together with him. He looks up to you. You're the best friend. His parents bought you a shas by your bar mitzvah. They flew to Eretz Yisrael. How could you not do that? What do you mean? At Hanukkah they came to you. You're going to answer because you think they're bad, lazy, or stupid. You're not thinking that this is just a fake answer because they can't say, I'm scared to be there. I have social anxiety, or I'm scared of someone, or I don't want Zaidi to give me that look. You know, that look that Zaidi gives me every time he sees me, that he looks like he's about to pass out and he's nauseous and he doesn't want to see your grandfather, right? Okay? And so you're answering, so every time in their journey, which happens many times, it could be hundreds of times, that we comment on their life and we get it wrong, not because we're wrong, we're really right for a healthy person, but we're wrong for them, it gets more ingrained in them. These people don't understand me. They don't understand me. And you know what they do? They go out on the street and everybody understands me. They understand me. So they realize that I'm not part of this machna. This machna, I'm the bad one, and they don't stand me, and they pressure me, and they keep on pushing me, and they keep on telling me night is to sleep, and day is to be up, and then jobs are important, and I should save money. Why do you spend the money? Why do your parents tell you, and you love your kids, and you go to them and you say, you finally worked, you have $600 saved up, why do you waste it on Narishkeiten? Right? That's the right speech for a healthy child, which probably wouldn't waste it on Narishkeiten, right? But these kids don't need business lessons. So every time that we get it wrong, we put a wall between us and them where they feel these people don't understand me. They don't get me. And even if you're right once in a while, but you're wrong so many times that you end up building a lot of distance. And then we're pushing them out, even if you did it with a smile. And you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who did this with a smile, you just see them float away. They just stop confiding in you. And then you say, oh, Avi, I don't know, my kids don't confide in me. Because when they did speak to you about things that were not that important, they realized, you don't understand me, you don't get me, you don't know where I'm coming from, you don't trust me, you don't believe me, everything's a question. Why? Why can't you do this? How come you that? Maybe you should do it this way, you should do it that way. I know it's hard as parents. You have to stop giving advice. Always, forever, for this kid until the chuppah. Don't criticize, for sure not. No advice. So what should you say?
The opposite is also true.
The opposite is also true. What do you mean? When you become
If
twisted,
you know the bad,
even if...
ask you, they should do it.
Oh, well, that's 100% true. Because once...
Someone would come to me and ask me to do something. All my friends are telling me that I shouldn't do it because it will be bad for me.